Hello everybody, this is WarriorDan, and today we're taking a look at Don't Die Minerva. Don't Die Minerva is a single-player action RPG game, currently available on Steam via the Steam Early Access program. Now, if I was a traditional IGN or a Polygon reporter, this is the part where I would tell you that Don't Die Minerva was secretly inspired by Dark Souls and Bloodborne, because this game is difficult, even when set onto easy mode. Spoiler, it's not Dark Souls and it's not Bloodborne. And just for the sake of this review, I've played the game on both normal and easy mode, just to compare the two, and I've found both to be pretty challenging enough. Speaking as someone generally unskilled in the art of playing bullet hell type games, where enemy attacks just spam seemingly every corner of the screen at all times, I can appreciate the gameplay style, but it's not something I'm super familiar with. For the life of me, I don't know why this game isn't getting more reviews on Steam. It was released on December 5th of last year, just a month or two ago, and so far it has only gotten a handful of Steam reviews. Now, as you may have guessed due to the title, you play as a girl named Minerva. And no, for those wondering, it's not a prequel to the Harry Potter games, for those thinking of Minerva McGonagall. Although from my experience so far, that would be pretty cool. There's not much we know about the main character, as the game tends to treat her less like a three-dimensional character and more like an empty vehicle for the player. And that's fine. For this type of game, character progression and storytelling isn't really necessary, although, as with any game, it would have been a nice seasoning, a nice icing on the cake, a nice layer of detail. Okay, I'm honestly not sure why I have all those food puns on the mind, but I digress. You're given a flashlight, and you have to attempt to make your way through a series of increasingly difficult levels, represented as floors in a very large mansion, each accessible via an elevator. But in order to unlock access to the elevator, you must first find the key, which is located in one of the level's many rooms. The levels are very much akin to dungeons in most dungeon crawler games. The starting room has one or two more doors. You go through one door, you fight some enemies, then you go through another door, or if it's a closed room with only one door, you double back and go through the other door in the previous room. If your first instinct was to compare this game to the Luigi's Mansion games, I would certainly understand where you're coming from, but while the art style and general atmosphere for the game would certainly support that claim, the actual gameplay has very little in common with Nintendo's approach to those games. I've spent about 75 minutes in the game so far, as of the time of recording this review, and I've only managed to beat the first building, kind of the first act of the game. As I've already said, I'm not a very good bullet hell type person, so it's been a somewhat tedious and repetitive process trying to beat each level successfully, but the game is certainly none the worse for it. I've had a decent amount of fun trying to do better than I did on my last attempt, and learning how to adapt my strategies depending on which types of enemies I was facing or what combination of different enemies I was facing. In addition to normal enemies, you will sometimes also encounter bosses, which generally have larger health pools as well as some visual differences from lesser enemies, and their attack styles are usually unique. The bosses are challenging, but not in the Dark Souls sense. More in the sense of you just spamming down left mouse as long as you can at them, then dodge or hide until they spam some attacks at you, then you pop out again and resume left mousing them until either they die or you die. In hindsight, not all that dissimilar from playing Destiny 2 or either of the Division games. If you die in this game, you don't necessarily have to start all over, as if you've completed Act 1 and unlocked access to one or more of the additional buildings and the floors therein, you can just start over with the first level or floor in whatever act of the game you happen to be in. What you do lose access to is whatever special items you've managed to pick up in your past life. Speaking of the equipable items, let's talk about your loadout. In addition to a primary weapon, all of which are light-based in nature, such as a flashlight, a weird light cannon thing, and my personal favorite, the slow but satisfying camera device that blows out these light bubbles. Other weapons probably do exist, but these are the main ones I've seen most often as loot. Another important aspect to your loadout is your companion. You can carry around these cute but badass little animal familiars, which can in turn aid you in battling these ghostly gremlins. There's this little monkey thing that acts as a stationary sentry gun, opening fire on everything within a static radius. And you have other creatures like my favorite, a small baby dragon which can fly around on a preset path, attacking anything that appears within its field of view. Alternating between directly attacking enemies myself and letting my pets do it for me is the playstyle I myself found most commonly adapting. And considering it's a tactic that got me through the first act and most of the second in one go, I'd say it worked out pretty damn well. Also, as is the case with most dungeon-type games, floor and wall traps do show up from time to time and they can be tricky, especially when you're trying to dodge enemy attacks and then unexpectedly a giant projectile comes out of nowhere. Now, as I indicated earlier, there are some light RPG elements to the game, specifically a mild looter-shooter formula, whereby the player can pick up and equip certain gear that can provide either active or passive buffs or new abilities to the player. The developers have promised a long-term roadmap for the game, with plans for additional layout variety for each level, new enemy types, new bosses, new unlocks and abilities, and more. And true to their word, as of the time of recording, Don't Die Minerva has received a trifecta of major content update patches, with 4 all-new enemy types, all mainly created as replacements for the original prototype enemies. Additionally, new rooms and challenges have been added in order to spice things up, and the game has seen a dramatic balance overhaul, with the intention of reducing the number of rooms present in each level, but making the individual rooms therein more dynamic and enjoyable to play through. And after playing through this newly updated version of the game, there's a marked notable improvement seen within the inclusion of these quality of life type changes. The developers have declared that the game will likely be an early access title for a relatively short duration, with the anticipated full launch window being projected into summer 2020, roughly 4 or 5 months away, as of the time of recording. I do hope the game picks up a bit more momentum online. It kind of came out of nowhere, although I hope it doesn't continue to stay obscure. This game might not be for everyone, but it's one of those small indie games that can easily cultivate a strong community following. Games like this are, in my mind, what Steam was originally built to promote. The kind of low-budget but innovative experience is built by a small team for a similarly small portion of the gaming marketplace, but a loyal demographic that is very likely to support games in their preferred genre, given how relatively few there are in the typical calendar year. Don't Die Minerva is priced at $19.99 USD on Steam, which, for its current offering, is a pretty reasonable price. If it was priced any higher, I'd say it'd be too much, and if it went down by more than a couple bucks, I'd say it'd be too low. As with the Goldilocks story, it's just right, as is. My only advice to the developers, please go hire a proper PR team or fire your existing one. Within the first week and a half of the game's initial release, I saw only half a dozen reviews. It's now been almost 2 months and the game still has less than 20 reviews. The game isn't a bad one, and I'm sure if more people were actually made aware of its existence, its sales numbers would be notably higher. It just kind of reaffirms one of the biggest problems with producing indie games while also having no previous experience in sales or marketing. You put all your effort into maximizing the quality of the product, but in doing so, you don't set aside any resources or personnel to actually make people aware of your product's existence. It's like that scene from the play Camelot where King Arthur tells the village boy to go through the land and spread the stories and legends of Camelot, so that while the kingdom might fall, their stories live on. Indie games often forget that they need that type of village boy to act as their promoter. They need to build up communities prior to launch. Set up a Discord, get noticed on Twitter, get a following on GameJolt or IndieDB before launching as a full commercial product. Otherwise, they'll just get picked off like a fledgling bird that fell out of the nest. And no, I don't know why exactly I'm quoting plays and metaphors, but it just makes me crazy to see a good game get thrown by the wayside. It just shows to me that they did not have a marketing strategy leading up to release. Well, here's hoping the game or its developer makes one hell of a turnaround, because time's ticking. Or maybe just release your game on Epic or GameJolt. It's not like you have as much competition to worry about on those storefronts. Then again, maybe that's not such a great idea, since both of those platforms have their own problems, and also the Steam community is probably one of, if not the most hostile and territorial communities I've ever seen on the PC platform. And I say that as someone who's been part of the Steam community for almost a full decade. Well, now that I've pissed everyone off, that's where I'm going to wrap it up for today. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're triggered, so be it. I will have a full game review video out next Monday. It was supposed to be ready this Monday, but when I tried recording a few days ago, I was suffering through surprisingly bad seasonal allergies. It's very hard to record something usable when you're alternating between sneezing, coughing, headaches, and nosebleeds. I'm mostly back to normal now, but still not 100%, so yeah, things are back on schedule starting now. Sorry about the delay. If you want to see more reviews like this one, or alternatively, longer form reviews like my last review video, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell to stay notified of future uploads. I release a new game review video, or something review related, every Monday at noon EST. Also, please take a minute to give this video a like and tell me what you think of this game and this video down in the comments below. The support always means a lot, and I always respond to new comments as soon as I can. This is WarriorDan signing out. Stay awesome everybody, and peace out.